How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to talk about how to build a deck properly in Pokemon Pocket TCG. And realistically, looking at the game at the moment, we have kind of no reason to build a deck so quickly in regards to having a super fine-tuned deck, because that requires certain cards to be pulled, which is going to be a little bit hard. That requires you to have basically all the pieces of the puzzle put together, but realistically there's no time at the current moment to rush, just because at the moment we only have the solo mode, which is basically the AI portion of the game, and then we also have the versus mode, which does have random matching, but there's no ladder, there's no placements, there's no ranked in this game. So right now, realistically, it makes 100% sense why there isn't any of this in the game, because right now everyone's still trying to get their cards, everyone's still trying to learn, the meta at the current moment. So there's kind of no reason to bring out ranked when the only people that would be at the top would be the whales. So you kind of don't want that to be the starting portion of the game. So everyone, of course, is trying to build their deck, trying to pull their cards that they want. And today we're going to talk about the proper way to build your deck in regards to looking at the cards that you want to have on the deck, how you want to structure your deck, and also looking at it, especially what to look for. The main portion of this game that is going to be the foundation of how your deck works is going to be the supporters and the trainers and all the different supporting cards in the game. Specifically looking at some of them that we'll be talking about that you want to have always maxed, or at least one copy of. This one especially maxed out, because right now we don't have a lot of ways to thin out your deck or to search for certain Pokemon, which we are going to probably get in the future when future packs come out. But we'll have to do what we have for now. And Professor's Research is going to be an amazing card to have maxed out in your deck, because you're allowed to draw 2 cards. Not only does this allow you to thin out your deck, but for those who haven't played card games before, thinning out your deck makes it so that you're able to lower the size of cards in your deck, making it a little bit easier to pull the cards you want and start your game plan. Having 2 of these Professor's Research, because you're allowed 2 max, is going to allow you to pull 4 cards eventually and help you either get the Pokemon you need, get a training item that you need, or possibly even start off basically with your EX Pokemon, which are some big hitters in this game as well. So Professor's Research is going to be a way of thinning out the deck. And you also have a quote-unquote search card, which is going to be the Pokeball. Put 1 random basic Pokemon from your deck into your hand. So if you're missing, let's say, your stage 1 evolution of certain cards, let's say I have my Charmeleon and my Charizard, I can pop Pokeball if I ever were to draw it and get my Charizard and start my game plan. This helps out, especially when you have a little bit less of basic Pokemons in your deck, because it allows you to pull out exactly what you want out of the pool that it could potentially have. Say you have 5 basic Pokemon in your deck, you're gonna have a 1 out of 5 chance, or basically a 2 out of 4 chance. I'm trying to get the probability right, because you only have 2 Pokemon that can share the same basically card of max in a deck. Looking at this Pokeball, if you have 5 different Pokemon that are all basic, you have a 1 in 5 chance. But if you were to have, let's say, 2 pairs where you have 2 Charmanders, let's say, and 2 Ponytas, then you have a half and half chance of pulling one or the other, making it a little bit easier to get exactly what you want. So depending on how you structure your deck, the Pokeball is definitely going to be a really great card to have, but I do think it's still mandatory in these decks at the current moment, just because we don't have a lot of ways at the moment, because of the cards we have in the game, to search for certain cards. Other cards that are going to be really great that I don't see a lot of people using, the X speeds are absolutely amazing. These cards are really great when it comes to getting your retreat cost to be -1, so you're able to sometimes bring out Pokemon and retreat them for free, or being able to conveniently take them out whenever they're needed. One use case of this, which is really well, is my Moltres. For the Moltres, you're able to put 1 energy on for Inferno Dance, and you can funnel in all the energy you want into your backline. Whenever it's time for him to leave, that's when I pop the X speed, and because he already has 1 energy to spam Inferno Dance, the retreat cost is 2. If I use X speed, you minus it by 1, that means he only needs 1 energy, and guess what? The 1 energy he was using for Inferno Dance, I get to take him out for absolutely free. Being able to save that energy with the X speed is a big help when you're trying to build up your backline or building out your active Pokemon that you currently have. So realistically, X speed is really good to have on your deck at all times. I do think this is a really great card that I don't see a lot of people using. So you want to make sure you have 2 of X speed, 2 of the Professor's Research, and also 2 of the Pokeball. The X speed is in the shop, is not pullable, so you will have to buy it with the currency that is in the shop. And then the same thing goes as well for Sabrina. Sabrina's a really great card as well, because this can actively mess up your opponent's game plan when it comes to switching out their active Pokemon. One use case of this, which is a really good use case, is they put a really tanky EX in the active spot. And they're building up, let's say, their they're building up their Dragonite. They have Dratini on the back line and they're evolving it. And when they evolve it, they're trying to get into that Dragonite so they can do as much damage as possible. Well, if you pop Sabrina, you can throw in that Dratini, or the evolution of Dratini, I forgot what exactly it's called, and then take out the EX off the active spot, bring out the Dratini, KO them, and now they got to start over from stage 1 trying to evolve into the Dragonite. Sometimes they might not even have another copy of the stage 1, so they're kind of messed up, or maybe they don't have a copy of the stage 2, so now they can't even get to Dragonite. That's a pretty big use case, or that's a big win condition that you just actively messed up their game plan by taking away their stage 3 or delaying it by a lot of turns when it comes to getting to their stage 3, depending on if you're using a Charmander, Venusaur, or a Bulbasaur, Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle. If you take away their stage 1 or their stage 2, you switch them out and you KO them, that's a pretty big deal because you just delay their game plan or their win con by a lot. So Sabrina is a really good active defense type of character, or active defense type of card, and this is a really good one to rock as well. I'm not 100% sure if you want to rock 2 or 1, but I do think overall it's still a really good card. But besides Sabrina, of course, Professor's Research, Pokeball, and also XP are all really great characters or cards to have. And then I think this card is just funny. I think this card is a bit RNG, and it can help you and it cannot help you at the same time. This one is just a fun tidbit, I guess you could say, in terms of deck building. You don't have to put this card in your deck. I just like having it because it's funny. But realistically, this one can mess up characters or players' hands, because if you pull out this card, say they have like 7 cards, 5 cards in their hand, and you pull out the red card, all those cards in their hand get thrown back into their deck, and then they pull 3. So they basically lost their card economy and what they could play or what they could have lined up, and potentially give them a worse hand. Now, you do have the other side of this as well, where they had a bad hand and you accidentally gave them a good one. So this one realistically isn't the best card in the game to be running, but I do think it's a funny one to have. And there's also other cards that can help when it comes to looking at exactly some that are supported towards your team. There are some like the potion, which I need to buy very soon. The potion is also a really good one because it does heal your Pokemon by 20, which is a pretty big deal in some cases. This can be a lifesaver if you were to use these on one Pokemon, being able to heal for 40. So realistically, this is a really good card as well to pick up from the shop if you haven't already. But besides the supporters, of course, because these are the main foundations of the game, what else is there to look at? Now, of course, like I said, my deck is not the most perfect thing in the world as well, just because everyone's still pulling for their cards. But realistically, the way you want to play it is you want to have an energy funneler at the current moment to be able to give a lot of Pokemon energy or to give your backline energy. And right now I'm using the fire team, so right now Moltres is my energy funneler. With Inferno Dance, I can spam it as much as I can until I feel like it's satisfied and I can retreat him to the active one, and then it's time to start going crazy with Charizard. It's time to go crazy with what's the other one called that I have in my team? Senti Scorch. I really like Senti Scorch a lot as well. It's a lot of really great Pokemon at the moment that can do amazingly well if you were to play with your energy funneler a crap ton. Moltres is going to be the fire one because of Inferno Dance. Misty is going to be the energy funneler for the water team. And then I'm trying to remember the other trainers, but there are other trainers like Brock and others that can funnel energy into them. Gardevoir is able to give a energy to the active Pokemon as well. There's a lot of Pokemon at the current moment that either can give energy, there's certain trainers that give energy. So whatever team you're trying to look at, whether it's water, fighting, when it comes to fire, you want to look for the character that's able to give you energy for your backline or your active character, because that is going to be the main resource that you're going to be looking at, because this gives you access to a bunch of new moves, this gives you access to more powerful moves, which is a pretty big deal. One thing you want to stay away from when building your deck is having a lot of stray basic Pokemon or a lot of stray evolutions. You don't want to end up in a situation where you're looking for a certain evolution, you're looking for a certain card, and you have a random Heatmore in your deck. Like I said, not the best deck in the world because we're still pulling for characters. So don't mind my deck when I'm saying don't have these cards in your thing. But you don't want to have a bunch of stranded Pokemon inside your deck, because realistically in the future, you're trying to build up towards your game plan, and being able to have Charmander in your basically deck list having 2 of them is going to give me a higher chance in trying to get the Charizard game plan that I have. But when I have these random Vulpixes, when I have Heatmore, when I have Scorch and Sizzlipede, I have a lot of Pokemon that I can end up pulling out of my deck that aren't giving me a higher chance in getting towards my Charizard game plan. But of course, being able to have 2 copies of each Pokemon is a lot to ask when we're still pulling for cards. So realistically, you want to have as little Pokemon as possible when it comes to stray ones that aren't into your main game plan. One thing I can say is try to max out on your stage 3 evolutions, or trying to max out on your EX birds that are really good in the game right now. Moltres is the only supportive one at the moment, while Articuno and Zapdos are really good in terms of attacking very early and getting a lot of damage out really fast. So either you're building towards your EXs doing a bunch of damage, or you're building towards your stage 3s basically KOing the board. You want to have as little stray cards as possible so you're not pulling useless cards in the middle of nowhere. When you're really needing the card that you need to win, you're going to end up pulling that Heatmore you randomly have in your deck, and it's pretty much over. So realistically, the main takeaway from this video is to make sure to have the right supports in terms of the XP, the Pokeball, the red cards, Professor Research, not the red cards, my bad. Professor's Research and Sabrina, all really well cards in terms of support. And then of course, finding the energy funneler for your team, something like Moltres for fire, Misty for water, there's a bunch of other cards that do the same thing, and some Pokemon that have active abilities that give you energy as well towards the active Pokemon on the field, like Gardevoir, if I'm not wrong. So you want to make sure you're looking towards that, not have random Pokemon in your deck that aren't needed towards your game plan, because of course, this can mess you up. You want to make sure to have a tank, like I said, an EX character or an EX bird or something like that, so that you're able to build those stage 1, 2, 3 characters in the game at the moment. But other than that, that's gonna be it for this video. When it comes to deck building, I will be making more videos talking about the packs, opening packs, all that different type of stuff. I'm very excited to keep playing this game, and make sure to sub if you're interested in all the info, all the guides, all the decks, all the different type of stuff I'm looking forward to building. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.